What's up, guys? So in this video, I'm going to be going over the one skill that you need to learn in order to maximize your gains in trading. Okay, this skill has helped me out so much in terms of making a lot more profits on my typical trade. So I'm going to break it down, show you exactly what it is and how to use it to your advantage. So let's go ahead, dive right into the charts. So I'm going to pull up a chart here in SPX. So what exactly is this one skill? And it's the skill is that you have to identify what kind of market you're in. Now, let me explain that a little bit further, right? In trading, there's typically two types of markets that are going to occur, right? We're going to have something that is called a expansion market, and then we are going to have contraction markets, okay? Understanding when we're in a expansion and a contraction market is huge, as well as understanding the best way to trade them. So let me go ahead, show you some examples, and show you exactly what that means. So we have expansion and contraction. Now, it's pretty similar, pretty idea to understand, right? All you need to do is think expansion is when price is in a very fast and tight move, okay? Contraction is when price is in a very tight channel and it's very back and forth, very choppy. So let me show you some examples here in SPX. So you can see here I have this drawn here in red, this little zone here. Let me actually make this gray without a border, just so it's a little easier to see. Should turn any second now. There we go. All right, so you can see on SPX, price, we're down, up, down, a little, hard to find trend. We're in a downtrend, right? But hard to kind of figure out what kind of market we're in. Price comes up and we see a move like this, right? We consolidate this tight channel for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, like almost 8 days, right? Very tight channel for 8 days, very clear high here at 4170 and very clear support here at 4076, about 100-point range right here, right? This is called a contraction phase, okay? Now, when price is in a contraction phase, it's typically going to be very choppy. It's typically going to be very up and down, very tough to trade. And these are typically scenarios when you want to kind of step away from the charts and not necessarily trade, or change your trading strategy based on this market condition, right? So let me show you right here, right? When you see something like this and price is very, very choppy, not all your strategies are going to work, right? You can see that on here we have this demand zone here. Let me make that green for you. So we have this demand zone right there, this gap fill, huge move up, comes back down, and it doesn't hold, right? We end up breaking through it, chopping back and forth. It's very up and down, right? When you see this type of action occur, you want to not necessarily take the trades that you typically do. Now, it doesn't mean you should just gamble and, take random trades, right? It means you should either have a strategy for both markets, adjust your current strategy for this market, or just not trade at all, right? So for something like this, I would say, okay, this works perfectly for one of my balance theory trades, okay? And balance theory is a type of strategy that I use. I can go in that more in depth in a later video, but it's very, very good for choppy markets, right? So when you see this up and down chop, and you see that, okay, yes, there's a demand zone here, but it's in a very tight range, it's very choppy. There's not a lot of, I'm risking quite a bit to, not get that much reward. Typically, you want to step away from the charts, okay? Now, the key thing here as well is going into options, all right? Which options to take. And later in this video, I'm going to break that down. But for now, let's go ahead and move on to expansion markets. So looking at the same chart here on SPX, we have this great contraction move right here, right? Now, expansion, we actually see one right after. Expansion is when we get that move away from that contraction, right? It's a very, very fast move, and it's very, very quick, okay? You can see right here, we have this move all the way down lower, right? I'm going to turn this red. So you can see we have this, and I don't know why that went away. There we go. There we go. So we have this red chart here, right? We have this fast drop lower, right? These are trades where your typical strategy will work, right? You can see here that we have a demand zone form, a supply zone form up here. Price comes all the way down. And when price is in a expansion phase, that's when you're going to see a lot more profits in your trading, right? Obviously, if we're in a contraction phase, it's going to be very slow. It's going to be very choppy. If you're getting, 0 DTE on your options, you're going to get stopped out a lot strictly from decay, and it's going to be very painful trading, right? But if you're able to identify which markets are in a expansion phase, right, we see that fast move lower, whereas real money is moving the market. That's when you want to be able to get in, take your trades with your strategy, okay? So let me show you an example on Boeing, and then I'll go into the options and which options to take for each phase. So go ahead and look at Boeing. So you can see here, Boeing. Right now, you can kind of guess, we're going to be in a contraction phase, right? If I zoom in here a little bit, you can see price is in this chop zone, right? Very up and down, very back and forth, not a clear, momentum shift. It's very hard to tell what price is doing. Now, let me zoom in a little bit here. Could I take supply demand zones within this chop? 100%, right? It doesn't mean that your supply demand zones aren't going to work. It doesn't mean your certain strategy isn't going to work, but it does mean that your risk reward is typically going to be worse, and there's going to be a lot more decay and chop, which is going to hurt your options trades, right? I could have easily gotten short at this supply, profited a little bit, down to this demand zone as well. We had a nice spike there at the end of the day. But overall, typically it's going to be very choppy and very tough to trade, right? So let me zoom out again a little more, and you'll see something like this, right? When you see a move like this, you know for a fact, okay, we are in a expansion phase, right? Make this green. When you start to see this type of move come up, we get this fast move higher, we're probably going to aim for this high here, this liquidity. You can tell, okay, now is when I really want to get into my options. This is when I'm really going to want to get into my trades, because for options to work, they need to be fast and they need to be accurate, right? You need to be correct on your price and your time, right? It's very important with options. So when you see something like this, that's when you know you can get in, right? If I zoom out a little more, we kind of get into this middle phase, right? It's pretty choppy, right? Pretty up and down. We are in an uptrend, right? We are moving up. We are still expanding to the upside, right? Now, when you see something like this, you typically want to be a little cautious, right? Doesn't mean you can't trade, right? So let me show you an example here. We have this chop going forth. Price makes this fast move up. We have this daily demand zone. Not a great demand zone, but it's a demand zone. Price comes back in, right? We can easily get long here, put a stop low here, target all the way up here, and it would have worked out, right? Same thing here, right? Let me show you again. We get this move up. We have this gap here, this demand zone down here. Price comes down in, holds demand. But you see we chop for about 5 days, right? If I'm getting a weekly option, I get in right here. By the end of the week, the move hasn't even started yet. And that's what's going to happen when you're in these type of, contraction type phases. When you see that real strong expansion phase, that's when you know those are going to be the best options to get. When you see a phase like this where it's kind of in the middle, or up here where it's a little choppy, that's when you know, okay, yes, this could work out. It is still a good trade. I could get long here, put a stop below here, and I could make money. But if I get in with the wrong option, I'm going to get killed and I'm going to lose money when I'm still right on the trade, right? That's when it gets very frustrating, right? When you get in here with a weekly option and then 5 days later you're down 80%, so you get out because it hasn't made the move yet. And then the next week it just takes off without you. And you're like, oh my God, I wish I just got a different option. I wish I got shares, something else, because I would have made money if I just held and got a better option, okay? So now let me explain which options you should be taking and how to really maximize your gains in this market, okay? So let's go back to Boeing as well. Let's go back to this setup. When we know that price is in a, contraction phase, not really seeing a lot of fast movement, there's a few different things you can do, right? You can get a lot more time on your options, right? So you can get, instead of getting a weekly down here, you can get, 2, 3, 4 weeks out, right? That's going to give you a lot more time. It's going to help you, get away from all that chop, all that decay, and still get you a nice risk reward in the long run, right? Now, the next thing you can do is get complex option strategies, right? This is especially good for when we're in markets like this, when we're in a straight chop, very horizontal, not really up or down, very contraction phase, right? Now, complex option strategies are some things like credit spreads. It can be iron condors, even debit spreads. Anything that really takes advantage of that chop and that decay is going to help you make money in these type of markets, right? You can also even get shares, right? If you're getting shares in this type of market, you don't need to worry about chop, don't need to worry about decay. You're still going to have that good risk reward, and the trade is still going to work out in your favor. When you're getting options and stock is in a very choppy zone, very contractional phase, you want to make sure that you are getting the right options, right? So you can sell options, you can get a lot of time, you can get deeper in the money options. Anything like that is going to help you make a lot more money and maximize your gains trading in these type of markets. Now, let's say we're in a expansion phase, right? When this is the case, you want to go for the more risky option. Now, this doesn't mean you should get 0 days to expire. This doesn't mean you should necessarily get weeklies, 20 strikes out of the money. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is that when you can identify that you are in a expansion phase, something like this, that's when you want to use options to your advantage, right? Because options work based off time and price. And when you're able to catch a very fast move, you're going to make a lot more money trading that fast move with options than you will with shares, right? So when you do see moves like this, that's when you want to be a little more aggressive with your option selection, right? That's when you can get more, closer to expire. That's when you can get more out of the money. That's when you can get more, single naked options. You don't really need to take spreads. You don't need to take shares. When you see that market is in this phase, or same thing with SPX, right? When you see the market is in a phase like this, right? We start going all the way down. Or in a phase like this, right? You're going to make a lot more money trading, in the money or slightly out of the money, puts that are 1 to 2 weeks out than you would trading credit spreads or trading iron condors or whatever it is, right? So making sure you're picking the right options for whichever phase of the market that stock is currently in is going to help you maximize gains and make you a lot more money. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please subscribe, leave a like, also comment below other videos I should make. I'm pumping out 2 videos every single week, so stay tuned, subscribe, and yeah, I will see you guys in the next video, and I hope you guys have a good rest of your day.